This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with SB Sports. We're delighted to be joined once again with the magnificent Conor Quinn. Conor, when we were speaking obviously during today, it's been a long time since we've sort of done a Zoom. It's about 2.5 years. Obviously during COVID, you
Jeez.
just come back from Australia, we're doing Zoom. So we were sort of rekindling an old memories today, and here we are, we're in Zoom. You're in a dark alleyway in a car park. Um, but I guess doesn't it show? I guess time flies when you're sort of having fun. You're back home from Australia, just less than 3 years now. You're enjoying life, and like you're coming up, coming up a year now, and the 24th of this month that it started. The fire rekindled again for you in Belfast, and like I know we'll sort of laugh about it now, but obviously I remember our interview after the Darwin um, Martinez fight when you're sort of going, this is crap. Obviously you're being robbed of a victory. So now look at where you
Yeah.
are a year down the line, and your seventh fight in 13 months. Me and you
Mhm.
last spoke at the Fela, and it was one belt on the line. It's like a
Yeah.
bus. You get long enough for one to come and two come at once, and you're the headline as well. Like this is a perfect
Yeah.
moment for you.
Yeah. No, that's it exactly. Like you said, it's sort of like it's the way like you texted me earlier. Obviously, we were doing it on Zoom, and the guy says yeah, actually deleted the Zoom app as soon as we done our last interview, and then just downloaded it again for the first time today. So it was funny downloading it there, and obviously he sent me the interview, and I actually watched a wee bit of it back. But yeah, it is. It's sort of coming up to a year now on the 24th, and like you said, obviously we were doing the interview and stuff after, and obviously wasn't too happy. And I remember Mark saying to me that day, I don't know doing anything for fuck's sakes. I remember Mark saying to me that day that, am I still there on yours? Yeah,
Yeah, still here. Yeah.
yeah. No, I remember Mark saying to me that day that no, that doesn't matter, and obviously he was gutted as well about the result, like, because obviously that wasn't the way it should have went. But I remember him telling me it doesn't matter, we'll stay on the path, and nothing's going to change with us. And here we are, obviously a year down the line, and getting the headline of show in Belfast and fight for two belts, which is brilliant.
And I say three weeks. Obviously, this is going to be put out tomorrow, Friday the 22nd. So it'll be 3 weeks from
Yep.
sort of Monday. You've obviously me and you always laugh and joke, and I know obviously I don't really put it on social media as such sometimes, but obviously we obviously say about everybody being tight. We're not going to go into it sort of that much today in the interview, but you actually blagged yourself a free holiday a couple weeks ago. I sort of found out sort of through social media, I guess, in some ways, sometimes people post things and I'm going, what's Conor Quinn doing in Spain? Well, I think it's Spain you were in, but you're obviously helping obviously Sonny Edwards prepare for his world title fight. You're this sort of person that whether something's going for free, you're there.
Yeah, that's it exactly. Tenerife was over. Yeah, I was out there for a couple of weeks. Obviously, I hadn't told anyone, and listen, to be honest, just haven't really been talking to anyone in the camp with this fight. I've just been keeping the head down, training, sleeping, eating, training. And the opportunity came. Mark got on to me. He says, Sonny and the rest of the Sheffield lads from the Steel City gym, Grant Smith and Pierce and their fighters were going out to Tenerife, their training camp. Says that do you want to go over and do a bit of sparring and train with them, and just sort of it was brilliant. Notice training the heat and all as well as the sparring, obviously. And I went out and it's absolutely brilliant. Like Grant Smith, he's an absolutely smashing coach. Obviously, Dalton Smith's father, and he runs the Steel City gym. And you had obviously Sonny Edwards there, the number one flyweight in the world, and you had Thomas Asomba, European EBU bantamweight champion. Nico Levar's got a load of girls with him as well, and you had all world class fighters out there and a world class environment. And for a couple of weeks, it was just I just got the head down, and I was in Tenerife, but to be honest, I could have been anywhere in the world because it was genuinely just wake up 7 a.m. gym, spar, come home, put the head down, wake up, go and do a bit of running in S&C with the lads, come back out and go to bed. I was in bed for 8 o'clock every single night, like. And although I was in Tenerife, I wasn't getting to enjoy it as much as you would expect. But the rounds was unbelievable, the training was unbelievable, and I feel it's honestly just sort of I think I come on tenfold just for spending a couple of weeks out there, to be honest.
I think sometimes something fresh, a new environment, obviously around different people, and as you say, you sort of name quite a lot of them that's there, and like that's a second time I think. Obviously, you've always been involved in a camp in some way with obviously Sonny Edwards and him getting into
Yeah.
his massive unification fight.
Hmm.
Associating yourself around them people, and I know you've been around a lot of obviously really talented, obviously boxers quite a lot of your career, obviously, in the amateurs and everything else. But I guess being sort
Hmm.
of in Tenerife and around Dalton Smith, who's obviously getting a profile built with him with Matchroom, you Sonny Edwards and everything else, you can see how these guys operate in and out of the gym. So that
Yeah.
when you're getting to that sort of level, you've stayed the same regardless, but right, I need to do this a bit better, or I need to eat, in a
Hmm.
different way or something like that. You can pick wee things off them. So when it
Yeah.
becomes your chance, it's you making the most of it.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Like you say, it's just seeing how everyone sort of operates. Like Sonny Edwards, he's the number one flyweight in the world, and obviously he's unbelievably talented. But he's also, in my opinion, and I was actually talking to him about this out there, he's sort of changing the game for the flyweight boxing and the lighter weights, because he's calling for all the big fights and he's calling out all the other champions. He's talking about moving up and fighting Chocolatito and doing all these crazy things. But that's just attracting so much more attention to the lighter weights for the likes of myself coming through and everyone else. So just sort of being around that environment and see, like you say, is how they operate in and out of the ring. And to be honest, in terms of the training, it's not rocket science. It's just hard work, hard work, hard work. Like you don't, it's only obviously you're in Tenerife or whatever, but it's just like you're at home. You're training hard and you're living good and you're eating and sleeping well. But seeing it in a different camp, and it sort of gives you a wee bit of reassurance as well that they don't do anything extraordinary in terms of training. There's no secret key to success. It's genuinely is they just work hard, they spar loads, they train loads, they eat well, and everything sort of falls into place. And like even Florian Marcoux, who just obviously fought Dylan Moran, I think he fought on this Saturday, and he flew out to Tenerife then that week to help sparring with Janaid Boston, who's obviously in their camp. I'm just seeing sort of things like that. Like, that's unbelievable dedication there. He fought in one of the biggest shows this year, and obviously would have got well paid. And a lot of other people have been sort of off to the sunset for a few weeks after that, but he was straight back into the gym to help his teammates as well, but also just to keep going and see what's coming next. And that's the sort of mentality I've always had, and the mentality that I like to sort of bring into the gyms that I'm in, and everyone in our gym has that same mentality, and it's the way it should be. Like you don't get too high with the highs and you don't get too low with the lows. You just keep going, keep working, and keep improving.
And you sort of touched on there as well, and I think that's why you know your stable, obviously, of fighters with D, it's been, there's no big egos. There's nobody that thinks that they're better than anybody else. Everybody's there to help, and it's no fluke.
Mhm.
Obviously, when you have a gym environment like Grant Smith's, and obviously like what you obviously have with D, it's no fluke. It's success is happening. We've
Yeah.
obviously we've seen obviously the Murph obviously win the Celtic belt and obviously won the Irish title. We've seen obviously Paddy obviously Paddy won the
Mhm.
ABO last year. Obviously, Paddy's becoming like the new James Tennyson. He's a belt collector. He's sort of, you know, different things. We're seeing obviously Owen O'Neill, obviously his first ever KO last year in the Gerwood,
Yeah.
winning the Celtic. He's obviously now
Mhm.
fighting Declan Geraghty for the Irish. You've Jared
Yeah.
Hughes. It's going to be obviously coming into title action soon. Everybody in the
Mhm.
gym has been in title action and in big fights, and they're showing in
Lee
them
Reeves as
fights. So
well.
so like it's no fluke that your
Mhm.
your gym is flying, because that ethos is there with every one of you. You all want to help and improve everybody.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like when I was over there in Tenerife, you could sort of see a lot. I could see a lot of D in Grant Smith as well, not in terms of like the coaching style. I mean, like obviously Grant's a lot more experienced. He's a lot older and he's been in the game, the pro game, a lot longer. But he sort of still has that sort of passion and drive that D has. Like I would have went to the gym maybe 20, 30 minutes early and just sort of sat and picked Grant's brain and could have told you all these crazy sort of facts about these fights that were so long ago, but they were all sort of just just sort of instilled in his brain, and that's the way D is as well. Like these guys are just absolutely live and breathe boxing, and when you have that there sort of mentality and attitude, and you're putting the work in, and you've got good fighters there in your stable, it's a recipe for success, and like you says there, you've got Paddy now who is a belt collector, like you says, and he's world champion, and then you've got the likes of Murph and Owen who won the Celtic titles. Murph went and won the Irish title after. Then you've got Lee Reeves and stuff there as well with the NABF title. So sort of it's good to see that you can go around all these gyms, but you can sort of see there's all different levels and all different sort of achievements and all the gyms in ours as well. And I think that's brilliant because you need to be able to do it at every level too. There's no point in having a couple of great fighters that are doing brilliant, and then you've no one sort of coming up through the ranks. There's no point in having people that are maybe only starting out and you've had no experience of people at the top. Whereas if you look at our gym and plenty of other gyms as well, but we'll have a wee bit of everything, and that gives me confidence because I know then when I get there, Dee's been there with Paddy's been there, and you need a bit of advice, you need a bit of help, it's there for you, and you're not beginning to these fights sort of not knowing what to expect. Do you know what I mean?
Different venues obviously have fought in as well. Like it, if we roll back 12 months before obviously your first fight back home, do you think it you fight in the
Yeah,
SSE Arena twice? You fought in Gurwood already. Previously, you've obviously fought in Europa. You fought in the Fela. You're back to Gurwood
yep,
again, obviously. But they think it that 13-month period, and I know we keep going back to it as well. Obviously, it was looking at a time where you might not ever box again, with the medical
yeah,
things. But like you're 3 weeks out now from obviously, and I know we keep speaking about it and saying, but it won't be long before you get a belt around your waist, and to be leaving the Gurwood obviously on the 14th of October with two belts around your waist. Like I know you personally, you'll go, that's just another day at the office, but it's supposed to be a special moment for you and it'll not be one you forget. It's like falling
yeah.
off your bike for the first time. You're obviously
Mhm.
picking up two belts, you'll have them over each shoulder, and you'll be like, right, back to work, let's go and get another one.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think obviously I was actually talking about this yesterday with Jessica about something else, but sometimes you do need to sort of sit back and reflect and see how far you've came, and not just in boxing. Like with other people have plenty of achievements in life, and doesn't always have to be sort of sports related, or you don't have to have a belt around the shoulder. But it's good to always look back and see like. But I think for the likes of myself and other fighters who tell you the same sort of thing, it's amazing. For 10 minutes you're absolutely top of the world, and you genuinely do just sort of think, right, what's next? But I think this time, obviously you'll be leaving with a couple of belts and stuff. I think it'll be a special night for everyone around me as well. Knowing my friends, family, obviously Jessica and the sponsors and my team and Mark and everyone sort of gets to enjoy it then when you have a wee sort of incentive there with the likes of the belts and stuff. And like everyone sort of played a part in getting to this point. And I think the fighters are the first to sort of say on to the next, but hopefully everyone around me then is delighted and they can enjoy it then for a couple of weeks until they have to go and watch it all over again.
When you obviously mentioned obviously that moment there, having that sort of that moment. Obviously, Colin Murphy's obviously video from Jono, the Cup man, obviously we just put out there again the other day, and it sort of reminds you sometimes, like we all know what Murph's like. He's probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, and his
Oh,
reaction,
definitely.
his face shows you exactly how he's feeling, and that moment, him
Mhm.
obviously becoming Irish champion, like that's the feeling probably everybody should feel in that way, but some people will
Yeah,
take it
yeah,
differently, where you're going, right, I've won the belts, let's not get too caught up in the moment, because then it's like, don't want to train, I want to eat Chinese, I want to do all the
yeah,
bad things I shouldn't be doing. Whereas
yeah,
that's a mentality sometimes of someone that will either be a domestic level fighter or be a world champion.
yeah, definitely. Like it's just brilliant to pick up all these things along the way, but genuinely everything is just a stepping stone to the next sort of situation, and don't get me wrong, no, I'll be absolutely delighted at Commonwealth silver title and obviously the British boxing border control Celtic title, two great belts, and I can't wait. That's all I'm thinking about now. That's all I've been thinking about the past 4 or 5 weeks since it was announced. But obviously, to keep that sort of competitive edge and to keep things going, it just straight away then it'll be right, head down, focus again. Because listen, like I'm a young lad, I'm only 25. Obviously, me and Jessica, and with no kids or nothing like that, so I don't really have any distractions. So for me not to be constantly looking forward to the next sort of fight and being able to hit the gym straight away again, it would be a bit of a shame, I think, because obviously I look at the likes of Paddy and stuff who, after a fight, he has to go and spend time with his kids because he's lost a lot of that time whilst training. I've lost nothing, mate. All I've lost is maybe a few pounds sweating in the gym. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
all I have at the minute is boxing, and me and Jessica love a holiday after that. But as soon as we have our holiday, it's just straight back down. She goes back to work, and I go back to the gym again. Obviously, and I'll enjoy this time while I can because whenever you do have the family and stuff, that's when you won't be able to do things the way you want to do it. But when you're saying there about the belts and stuff, I was actually talking this morning with Barry Rooney, and obviously, Barry's dad's just passed away there. It's his funeral tomorrow. That's obviously why we're doing this Zoom interview now. But I was actually just talking to Barry because obviously I had known how involved his dad had been in boxing. I always heard great things about him. But every time we're on social media today and yesterday, it was just all sort of tributes to him. And I kept seeing the photos of him and Eamon McGee and sorry, Pat McGee and Brian McGee, and I've seen the boy like that just looks like they were having the time of their lives. No, it's only a picture, it's only a photograph, but you can just see in all their faces how much they were enjoying it. And it made me sort of think, and that's what I was saying the boy, it makes you look at things a bit different. And in years to come, all these photos and videos that we all have, that's what you'll look back on, and that's when maybe you'll lift the head up and say, right, I'm proud of that, and I'm glad I done this and that, and it's all over now. I can reflect on it, but until then, it's just business.
It's I know I'm a good bit older than you, but obviously I would sort of look back now at pictures and videos and things like that as memories. It's their
Hmm.
time elapses, but obviously the memories remain, and it's
Yeah.
great. Obviously, even at times when obviously Brian McGee was fighting it, there's pictures and videos
Hmm.
there because obviously the memories
Hmm.
of JR and stuff like that will be all that Barry and
Yeah.
the rest of the family will have now moving forward. Um, obviously, finally, obviously, then, 'cause I know it's giving me this countdown now. I'd say we just over 4 minutes left. For you, obviously, you don't get too confident. You don't get too caught up in a moment going into a fight. Like when will come a stage for you that obviously, are you already started putting hate pictures up of Chris Liddell, obviously in the gym? So there'll have to come a point because he's in your way of you getting your
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
belt
Yeah.
pro. When do
Mhm.
you start to hate him? Is he already at, like is he already in, not that he's inside your head as your dreams, but with your picture and the fight and
Mhm.
everything else, have you started to hate him yet, or will that only sort of come and sort of the build up to the fight?
No, I wouldn't say hate him, but I'll be honest now. You could speak to D and stuff, and I think my attitude this time has changed a wee bit in the gym. Like obviously we're all great friends in the gym and stuff like that, and we're the best of friends. But the past couple of days since I've been home from Sheffield and stuff as well, and I think a switch sort of I flipped the switch a wee bit in my brain because even when I'm sparring with my own teammates now, it's a wee bit I'm I'm vicious at the moment. You know what I mean? And maybe when you were to land 2 or 3 punches and step back now, I'm going for 6, 7, 8, 9, and they'll I have to take a step back and doing the pads with D and trying to put my fist through the pad and doing the body bag and stuff like that. And it just sort of comes this time. Normally it's a wee bit closer to the fight, but it came a wee bit earlier this time, I think, just because of what's on the line and stuff. And I wouldn't say I would ever hate the guy, but if he's standing in my way and I have the opportunity, I'm gonna try my best to put my fist through his face, like in the nicest way possible.
Yeah, and probably I worded it sort of in the way that you're going to have these moments where you have to the flick
Hmm.
the switch does have to turn because
Yep. Hmm.
obviously defeat's not an option for you, but you
No.
have to
Yeah.
sort of get yourself in that head space that you can't think of anything other than winning. So you have to
Hmm.
hate him in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know the minute the fight finishes, it'll be like, well done, thanks for getting in the ring with me,
Hmm.
sort of thing. But you have to
Yeah.
be sort of selfish in that way if you're going, I'm going to rip
Hmm.
your head off and make it into this ring.
100%. That's exactly it. Like I says, there's nothing would ever stop me from trying that. To be honest, like obviously it's only a sport at the end of the day, but for that sort of half an hour period that we're in the ring, that's the be all and end all in both of our lives at that moment in time. As silly as it sounds, it genuinely is. And like I've watched a bit of footage of him and stuff, and he seems to be quite tough and strong, and he's gonna come forward and meet me head on in the center, and that's what I've been asking for since the day an hour turned pro, as you know yourself. This is the guy coming now who's used to every time he gets in the ring, his hand goes up at the end. So I think that'll bring out a wee bit extra motivation in him, especially with the belts being on the line, and he'll try that bit harder and he'll take a couple more risks. And I think that'll just sort of ultimately lead to me catching him in the middle and me being able to land heavier shots, bigger shots, and do what I want to do. And like I said, that's what I've been down for since I turned professional. That's what professional boxing is to me. Like.
Do you see a stoppage win coming 14th of October?
Well, I see a win for sure. As you know yourself, I would never, ever, ever have any doubts in my mind. But I think if this guy comes the way I've seen him come in the previous fights and stands in front of me, I think at some point, if he doesn't go down, the referee would have to step in if I fight the way that I know I can. Like, yeah.
Well, look, obviously, know this timer's about to run off, and we don't want to do it. We had to do in our last Zoom interview. We had to restart it a couple of times, but
That's right. Remember that?
but obviously, thanks very much for your time as always. Well, obviously, I'm sure we'll catch up and fight. We had to get an interview
100%.
beforehand, but thanks very much for your time. We'll catch up with you
Thank
very
you,
soon.
Morty. Brilliant. Thanks very much, mate.
Cheers, Conor. Take care. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, mate. Bye, bye, bye.